This is Jonathan Cahn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. When you look at what's happening in the world, it's easy to wonder what's going on, and are things out of control? Is this what the Bible foretold? Is the end near? What do I need to know about the future? Where's it all going? How can I be prepared? What is God's prophetic word for the hour and for me? On this channel, you're going to find prophetic updates, the mysteries of God, daily words for life, biblical revelation, prophetic teachings, and much more. I pray it's going to be a great blessing to you in the days ahead. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time there's a new video that's posted. Leave a comment as to how God is blessing you. And don't forget to share these videos with friends who need to hear them. Thanks again, and God bless you. Shalom.
Beloved, on this day, June 25th, 2025, something sacred stirs in the heavens. This is not just another message, not just another word. This is a divine call, a trumpet blast from the throne of God, echoing through the chaos of our times. If you have ears to hear, let your spirit awaken, for the Lord is not silent. He is not passive. He is calling out His chosen ones in this hour. The Spirit of God is summoning His people, not the crowd, not the complacent, but the consecrated. Those marked by obedience, by the fire of His Spirit, by the longing for something more than religion. They are the ones He is calling. Throughout history, God has never looked for the crowd. He has always looked for the remnant. The narrow path has always been walked by the few, not the many. In Noah's day, the world was filled with people, but only one man found grace. In Gideon's time, thousands stood ready for battle, but God reduced the army to 300. Why? Because God doesn't need many. He needs the obedient. There is a sound from heaven today that is not for everyone. It is for those whose hearts are burning, who cannot be content with shallow Christianity, who weep in secret for the state of the church and the lostness of the world. These are the ones God is calling, not the ones who blend in with the world, but those who have been marked by separation. The remnant is often misunderstood. They're not popular, not loud, not always celebrated, but they carry the presence of God. They're the ones who say yes when no one else does. They stand in the fire like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, not bowing to the idols of the culture. They cry out like Jeremiah in a time of apostasy, refusing to be silent even when it costs everything. And when God calls them, He does so with power. He doesn't whisper in comfort. He speaks with fire. He shakes them from slumber. He burdens them with His purpose. He wakes them in the night with urgency. He gives them eyes to see beyond the surface and hearts that bleed for truth. Many are satisfied with being close to the crowd, but the remnant desires to be close to the cloud, the presence of God. They are the ones who refuse to trade intimacy with God for acceptance by men. In this hour, they are hearing the call. It is not just a call to leave the world. It's a call to step into divine purpose, a call to become voices in the wilderness, preparing the way of the Lord. And yet, this calling doesn't come in comfort. It often comes through wilderness. Before the remnant rises, they are often hidden. Before they're released, they're refined. Before they speak, they're silenced. That's how God prepares those who carry His heart. You may have found yourself in such a place, hidden, misunderstood, rejected, even by those you tried to help. But that does not disqualify you. In fact, it may be the sign that you are being set apart. God's remnant is not raised on platforms. They are forged in the secret place. There is something sacred about divine obscurity. It is where God strips away pride. It's where He builds unshakable faith. It's where He gives revelation that cannot be learned in books, only in brokenness. And it is from that place that God calls His chosen. You were not forgotten. You were being fashioned. You were not overlooked. You were being observed by the eyes of heaven. Every prayer, every tear, every sacrifice was seen by God. And while the world rushed forward, He was drawing you aside, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The anointing on your life required separation. The weight of your calling demanded isolation. What others saw as delay, God saw as development. He does not send his warriors into battle untrained. He does not launch his prophets without first breaking them of self. Even when you thought it was over, when the dream seemed dead, God was still writing your story. He had not forgotten the promise. He had not canceled the calling. He was simply shaping you to carry it without breaking. And now, something within you is stirring again, an echo of the voice that called you in the beginning. God never chose based on strength or status. He chose shepherd boys over warriors. He chose barren women to birth nations. He chose fishermen to shake the earth. If you feel unqualified, that's exactly where God begins. His power is made perfect in weakness. His grace is enough to cover your past and empower your future. The call is rising, and it is finding the ones who thought they were too broken, too late, too ordinary. But God sees something in you that others missed. He placed eternity in your heart. He wrote destiny in your bones. You were born in this time for a reason, not to survive, but to lead, to shine, to declare his truth in a world of deception. When others passed you by, heaven leaned in. When you were forgotten by people, you were being remembered by God. You are not just someone trying to make it. You are someone God has chosen to move through. You are the answer to someone's cry. You are the light someone will see. You are the word someone needs to hear. All around us, the world is shaking. Economies crumble. Nations rage, families fracture, churches drift, and foundations long thought to be unshakable are collapsing. But none of this is without purpose. The shaking is not random. It is divine. It is the voice of God thundering through the noise of man. It is his mercy wrapped in disruption, his truth shaking us awake. In the Bible, God often used shaking to get the attention of his people. Mount Sinai trembled when his presence descended. The earth quaked when the law was given. The veil tore and the ground shook when Jesus died on the cross. The shaking was not chaos, it was communication. The same is true today. He is shaking idols. He is shaking institutions. He is shaking false securities and exposing foundations built on sand. What we trusted in, money, politics, fame, comfort, is being removed so that only what is eternal remains. The shaking is a mercy call before the judgment. It is not meant to destroy you, but to awaken you. The shaking is not just global, it's personal. God is shaking your life not to harm you, but to realign you. When comfort becomes a god, God will disrupt the comfort. When your calling lies dormant, God will send storms to stir it. He allows what you depended on to fail. Every disruption contains an invitation. The storm is not just a test. It is a turning point. Many miss it because they only see the storm, not the voice within it. But if you listen closely, you'll hear it. In the middle of every shaking is a word from heaven: return to me. It is not the wrath of an angry God, but the cry of a loving Father. The voice of God is crying out to a generation that has gone numb, a church that has grown complacent, a people that have settled for survival instead of revival. And his message is clear: I am not done. I am not silent. I am not distant, but I will no longer be ignored. There are moments in time when the call of God carries unusual weight, when the clock of heaven seems to accelerate, and the urgency of eternity breaks into the ordinary. This is such a moment. This is not a season to wait and see. This is the time to move, to obey, to rise. Too many have delayed their response to the voice of God. They hear the call, but wait for more confirmation. They feel the conviction, but wait for a more convenient time. They want to obey, but they also want to stay comfortable. And in the delay, destinies die. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He only needs to distract you. He doesn't have to rob your calling. He just needs to delay your response long enough that you miss the moment. But heaven's call does not wait forever. The door the Lord opens is also the door he can close. Now is the time to respond. Now is the hour of decision. What you put off today, you may not have the grace for tomorrow. The opportunity to rise, to speak, to step out may not come again in the same way. There is something sacred about obedience in the moment. God is calling not just for attention, but for action. The word has been spoken, and now it must be answered. There are souls waiting on the other side of your yes. There are lives tied to your obedience. There are breakthroughs that will only be released when you step into your assignment. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to respond. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He looks for the willing, the surrendered, the broken vessels through whom he can pour his glory. There's a window of grace right now, and those who respond will be part of something greater than they imagined. They will see miracles. They will carry messages that change lives. They will walk in a level of authority that only comes from radical obedience. Don't let fear speak louder than faith. Don't let comfort convince you to stay silent. Don't let the familiar rob you of the supernatural. The call of God has gone forth, and the only proper response is immediate, wholehearted surrender. Delay is disobedience, and disobedience carries a cost. This is the moment where destinies are determined. This is when heaven watches to see who will rise. It is not a time for lukewarm faith or passive belief. It is a time to burn, to rise, to move. The voice of the Lord is shaking everything so that what cannot be shaken will remain. The greater the anointing on your life, the greater the attack against it. From the very beginning, the enemy has warred against what God sets apart. He doesn't waste time on those who pose no threat. But the moment heaven places its seal upon someone, hell takes notice. The battle you faced is not random, it's strategic. The warfare you've endured is not because you're weak, but because you're marked. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, falsely accused, imprisoned. Why? Because he was carrying a dream from God. The enemy could sense that there was a prophetic destiny on his life, and so he moved early, trying to crush the vessel before the vision could be fulfilled. But what the enemy meant for evil, God used for good. The adversity became the very path that led to Joseph's promotion. You too have likely faced moments where everything seemed to collapse. The more you tried to walk in obedience, the more resistance came. The closer you moved toward your calling, the more intense the attacks became. People turned on you, relationships crumbled, your mind was flooded with fear, doubt, and despair. But none of it surprised God. The enemy does not fight what does not threaten him. If you were not dangerous to the gates of hell, you would not be on the enemy's radar. The fact that you've come under fire is the proof that you carry something valuable. Satan's strategy is to wear you down, to discourage you, to make you question everything. He wants you to abort the mission before it matures. He fears what will happen when you fully walk in who God called you to be. There is a battle behind the scenes for your identity, your purity, your faith, your voice. But through every storm, God has not left you. He has been fighting for you, training you, refining you. You may feel like you've been in a war zone, but what you've gained is spiritual strength, discernment, authority, and resilience. You are not who you were when this began. You are stronger. Anointing attracts adversity, but it also attracts angels. Heaven surrounds those whom God has appointed. The pain was real, but so is the purpose. Every arrow sent against you, every false accusation, every delay, it was allowed not to destroy you, but to prepare you. You are being shaped for something bigger than you've imagined. The pressure has not been pointless. The wilderness was not a punishment. It was a preparation. Before David ever ruled a kingdom, he learned to worship in obscurity and fight lions in secret. Before Paul shook nations, he was broken on the Damascus road and hidden away for years. God does not launch immature warriors into battle. He forges them through trials. You've been in that process. You've walked through the fire and didn't burn. You've crossed waters that should have drowned you. You've endured what others would have quit under. That is not weakness. That is evidence of calling. What God is about to release in you is directly connected to what you've survived. The scars are not signs of defeat. They are signs of survival, of testing, of endurance. They are the credentials of someone who has walked through hell and kept their faith. God is preparing you to speak with power because you've lived what others only preach. You're not just being positioned for ministry, you're being positioned for impact. There are lives you are assigned to, assignments that only your voice can fulfill. Your journey, your testimony, your wounds, they all serve a divine purpose. The pain you've experienced will be the platform from which you speak healing. You are not just anointed for the church, you are anointed for the culture, for the streets, for the lost, for the broken, for the bound. God is raising you up as a voice of clarity in a generation of confusion. He is giving you boldness, not to entertain, but to confront darkness with light. He is sending you not in your own strength, but in His Spirit. This is a season of commissioning. The preparation is giving way to assignment. Doors are opening, but only for those who are ready. And you are ready. You didn't think you were, but everything you've walked through has brought you to this moment. You have been entrusted with something holy. God does not prepare someone this thoroughly for a small task. He is calling you higher, deeper, and wider. The level of warfare has revealed the level of destiny. And the time is now to embrace it, not with fear, but with faith, knowing that the same God who has carried you this far will complete what He started in you.